Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm Annie, this is Stanley, and we're here to talk about books. And this is going to be my take on the very popular BookTube format of the Unhaul project. And I have to credit G over on Book Roast for inspiring the title, because in her shelf help series, she puts her books she's going to unhaul on the Yeet pile. And that was what gave me the idea for the name. And basically, I have created a subset of my physical and ebook TBR of 25 books, which I think I'm probably never going to pick up if I have other options, but I still want to give them a try and see whether I like them. So I've created a spinner wheel of all of these less appealing titles from my TBR. And when I run out of my main TBR in each month, I'm going to switch to this project and I'm going to select a book, give it 50 pages, and then decide whether to read it or yeet it. And that's how it's going to work. And I'm going to keep doing that until I run out of days in the month and then move on to my next TBR. So welcome to Read It or Yeet It. Right then, Stanley, what have we got? Oh, interesting. So, Blind Fear by Hilary Norman was a fairly random book pick from a charity shop run that I did not so long ago. And the reason that I picked this book up is because I'm doing Herkid 2.0, hardest reading challenge you'll ever do. And one of the prompts in that is to pick a quote from something, and then you have to read a book with each word from the quote in the title. So one book per word. And I picked Fear is the Price of Our Instrument, which is Hannibal Lecter talking in Red Dragon. And so I needed a book with fear in the title, and I picked this up. It's about a woman called Joanna who comes to New York to help a sculptor learn to work with his new guide dog. And something unhealthy about intense emotions that Jack inspires. Something about, there's an FBI investigation. Disappearance of a number of local people. So the reason that it's on the Read It or Yeet It spinner wheel is because I have a horrible feeling that it might be really, really bad. I don't know. I mean, it sounds like it might be quite interesting, but I don't know. So I wasn't sure I was actually going to pick it up. I need to pick it up for the reading challenge. I think this is going to be a common theme for Read It or Yeet It in upcoming months. So I guess we'll see. I'm going to read 50 pages. I hope I like it, because otherwise, if I don't, I've got to find another book with fear in the title. But we'll see how it goes. 50 pages, and I will come back and let you know my decision. Okay, so I have read 50 odd pages of Blind Fear by Hilary Norman. Can't seem to keep her name in my head for some reason. Have to keep looking at the book, but hey. And yeah, I'm actually quite enjoying this. I like that the protagonist trains service dogs. It's an interesting storyline that I haven't really come across in fiction before. But it's not a fluffy kind of romance book. It is, I'm assuming, a thriller. That's what the cover suggests. And yes, we had a couple of fairly clunky kind of, I was going to say pre-credits, but it's not a TV show, prologue sections, which do suggest there might be a serial killer element of this book. But then that hasn't come back since then. And we've got a woman called Joanna who has been hired to train a service dog for a blind sculptor in New York, and she lives in Oxfordshire, so that's quite nice because I have ties to Oxford in the UK, so that's been quite nice. And yeah, I can do without the thriller aspects. I'm assuming it's going to get much more exciting and terrible things are going to happen, but I'm actually quite enjoying the story about the dogs and the nice lady who has gone to help a blind artist. But yes, I am definitely invested. I like the characters. The exposition's pretty clunky. There's quite a lot of telling involved, and some of the dialogue's a bit stilted, but the story and the characters are pulling me through, and I am intrigued to know what is going to happen later on. So not yeeting this one, Stanley, I'm afraid. I'm going to carry on reading it, and then I'll come back to let you know what I think when I've finished. Right, I am back. I hope you can't hear the construction noise too badly from outside. There's not an awful lot I can do about that. It's been going on all day. I was waiting for them to take a break, and apparently they're very dedicated. But it's about 30 degrees out there, so I'm not shutting the windows, I'm afraid. Anyway, I have finished Blind Fear by Hilary Norman and largely enjoyed it. Yeah, pretty good book, this. I wasn't expecting much from it. And yeah, the writing wasn't the best. It was a bit clunky, dialogue was a bit stilted. But overall, I was very involved in the story. If it had just been a story about a woman training a service dog for a blind sculptor with a bit of romance and just all of the interesting stuff about his art and the relationship with the dog and the relationship between them, I would have been perfectly happy. I didn't need the serial killer. And actually, the serial killer bits jarred rather, I think. And I felt, they were a little bit overdone. And I could have done without them. Then, of course, 100 pages from the end, it all ramped up in a ridiculous fashion, got very over the top, very silly. The climax did feel a bit drawn out. It got a bit tedious, actually, even in the most exciting bits. We had a pleasing amount of aftermath afterwards, though. I often find books end quite abruptly after all the excitement, and there was quite a lot after this of what happened to people later on. I wasn't overly keen on some of the choices the author made in the realms of cultural and racial presentation of some of the characters. I can't really go into that more without a lot of big spoilers. But I was engaged throughout. I felt very involved in the story. I liked the characters. I thought it was very well observed. Yeah, 3.5 stars. Glad I read it. So again, read it or yeet it. Good challenge. Got me to read a book I never would have read otherwise. And yeah, 3.5 stars. No yeeting for this one, Stanley. So yes, I think better pick another book. And here we are again at the Spinner of Doom. Round it goes. What is my fate? Ah, okay. So, Celestial Bodies by Joka Al-Hati. Apologies if I'm not saying that correctly. This is, I believe, fulfilling the Herkyard 2.0 hardest reading challenge you'll ever do prompt for Arab History Heritage Month. That's why it's on the TBR. But I think it's Booker Prize winner. And I don't have a good track record with Booker Prize winners. In the village of Al-Awafi in Oman live 3 sisters. Maya marries after a heartbreak. Asma marries from a sense of duty. Korla rejects all offers while waiting for her beloved, who has emigrated to Canada. I mean, it sounds like my kind of book. Family saga. Be interesting to read something set in Oman. It's not that long, but didn't necessarily appeal to me, which is why it was on the spinner wheel. So yeah, guess I will read 50 pages and come back and let you know my decision about whether I'm going to read it or yeet it. Stanley's all excited because I didn't even get to 50 pages of Celestial Bodies. I thought that it sounded like my kind of book. It's about 3 sisters in a family who live in Oman to do with their marriage prospects and their relationships. But the writing style and the structure really, no, definitely not for me. There's no dialogue punctuation at all, no denoting of when people are speaking in any way apart from context. And sometimes it's not clear. The context is not clear. So that's quite confusing. I'm a stickler for punctuation. I like traditional punctuation use. I can't lie. I'm not ashamed of it. I did try, but yeah, it didn't work for me. And then it switched to a different viewpoint. The male viewpoint is in the first person in a different font, which was a little bit weird, and completely stream of consciousness. He's quite confused about the details of what he's talking about, and it jumps back and forth wildly in different time periods. Very confusing. Didn't do it for me at all, unfortunately. So about page 22, 23, I'm afraid I'm giving up on this one. So, Stanley, are you ready? First yeet of the video. Come on. Oh, no. That wasn't a very good yeet, Stanley. Let's try that again. Put some welly into it. Come on. Hey, there you go. Yeeted Celestial Bodies. I'm going to have to find another Arabic book for the Arabic Heritage Square for Herkid 2.0, but fine, I can do that because I'm sure there are lots of very lovely Arabic books that I will enjoy more. So let's move on to picking the next book for this video. What is the verdict of the Spinner of Doom this time? Round it goes. Oh, okay. So, The Changeling by Victor Laval. The only reason that I'm hesitant about this one is because I picked it for the Herkid 2.0 hardest reading challenge you'll ever do prompt for the Spooky Creatures Square, where I need a book with fae characters, and I'm generally not that keen on books about fae. I can't think off the top of my head of any that I have read that I really enjoyed, so that kind of puts me off. But I do need to read one, and this is the one I've picked. It also sounds like it might be a bit creepy, and I'm not that keen on creepy either, so I guess we'll see how we get on. So I'm going to read 50 odd pages of this and then come back to let you know what I think and whether we're going to read it or yeet it. Right, I am back after reading 50 or so pages of The Changeling by Victor Laval, and I am pleasantly surprised. A bit like Blind Fear, there are hints of excitement and drama to come right at the start, but then it turns into a very lovely story about a man who decides to become a second-hand bookseller, which is something that is interesting to me, so I am very much enjoying that. The first couple of chapters were all telling, all summary, and it does tend to skip over time periods quite a bit and sort of summarize things that have happened. But by chapter 3, the direct action had started. We were getting dialogue and proper interaction between the characters. And yeah, by page 50, I'm definitely in it. I've no idea where it's going to go because it's completely different to what I was expecting. As I said, there are some hints of weirdness very early on, which I'm sure are going to come back into it because it is called The Changeling. I have been led to believe there are fae characters in it. If there aren't, that's going to be a problem for me. But anyway, we'll see. And yes, there's sort of creepy forest on the cover, so it's probably going to take a turn at some point. But in the meantime, I don't need the creepy. I don't need the fake characters. I'm perfectly happy for it to just carry on being a nice story about a bookseller and his wife. But yes, I'm definitely going to carry on reading this one, at least for now. So no yeeting of this one, I'm afraid, Stanley. But we'll see how we get on, and things may change. But I will attempt to read the rest of it and then come back and let you know what I thought later on. So I am back after finishing The Changeling by Victor Laval, and oh yeah, not so keen by the end. I have to say I was engaged all the way through. I was intrigued to find out what was going to happen. You've got a couple who have a baby, and then the wife starts behaving quite strangely and being, I don't know, thinking that there's something wrong with the baby, or that it isn't a baby, or anyway, yes. So things start going awry, and then something terrible happens, and the husband, Apollo, has to try and figure out what's going on. So one of the maybe biggest problems is that everything is over described. So like every tiny little action that people take, you know, making their breakfast or getting ready for the day or walking to the subway, it's all over described. And I didn't mind that to begin with, and it actually made it even more unsettling when things started going awry, because it was so ordinary and so mundane. But it did get a bit wearing by the end. And it's very much a book of two halves. In the first half, I started getting a bit worried that there weren't actually going to be any fae or supernatural aspects of it, any fae characters. And it was all going to be about terrible mental illness and horrible tragedy. And by halfway, I was starting to worry that there were going to be fae characters or supernatural aspects, because it was getting really creepy. And I'm not going to say which way it went, but it got quite unpleasant. It was really grim in places, very quite gory, and quite unsettling. Unsettling is definitely the word. And yeah, it went to some interesting places, and then kind of went completely off the rails at the end. And by the end, I wasn't in it anymore, unfortunately. So didn't really work out for me. It is helpful because it's ticking off a couple of Herkyard hardest reading challenge you'll ever do squares for me, which might have been tricky to do otherwise. But yeah, 2 stars, unfortunately, didn't work for me by the end. So we didn't yeet it at the 50-page mark, but we're going to yeet it now, Stanley. So you get to yeet another book. Come on, get with the program. Here we go. Are you ready? Go! Oh, what is wrong? Oh, not really feeling the yeeting this time, Stanley. Come on, try harder. Come on. Oh! Should have seen that coming. Oh dear, Stanley. Over enthusiastic. Oh well, it's gone. Took out the tripod and the camera with it. Well done, babes. Oh, what was that? I don't know. So that's a rather dramatic conclusion to Read It or Yeet It this time around. Possibly not our most successful episode. 3 books off the TBR though, so that's not so bad. We had 1 success, read all the way through and largely quite enjoyed it. And then we had a Yeet very early on, and then we had a deciding to carry on, and then Yeet at the end. So quite a range. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. There are links to all of my other projects and various things. I have a podcast that I make with my husband monthly about media, where one of us picks something that the other one hasn't seen, a TV show or a movie, and then we both watch it and then talk about what we thought. And yeah, various other things that you can follow me doing. So yes, please join me for the next month of Read It or Yeet It, and all my other YouTube videos in between. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you again in another video pretty soon. Bye for now.